Thank you for watching my presentation on the MASE project. This is Brian Wagner, and this project presentation is for EDUU 663. The research question involved in my study is, what is the impact of the coaching model on the implementation of best practices for accommodations for students with special needs in the inclusion setting by experienced special education teachers? As we begin this review, we're going to be looking at the purpose for the study. We will review some of the concepts of professional development, a little on prior research, the rationale for the study, and of course the possible impacts of the study. In looking at the purpose of the study, again, we are trying to evaluate coaching as a means to support teachers in their growth and in a new role in the collaborative environment. Again, the research or the legislation that is out there under the Individuals with Disabilities Act really pushes forward this idea of the collaborative environment as well as the inclusive environment, and we want to make sure that teachers are prepared professionally for that. As we look at professional development, there have been several studies that have indicated that coaching is a very positive means for supporting teachers as they're approaching change and really looking at them as professionals and helping them grow. Therefore, the study's rationale is linked to that whole concept and looking at trying to make sure that we are identifying those best practices within coaching and supporting teachers as they grow and implement new strategies and new concepts. It is also important to note that there are limited numbers of studies, especially in the area of special education, that have indicated that or reviewed empirically the concepts of coaching for supportive teachers. Of course, the possible impact that we're looking for here is really to determine if coaching is a positive means to increase the end result for students and really looking for that most effective practice overall. As we look at the research and the literature, there are several key concepts that come forward. First of all, we have the theories regarding inclusion, the data involving collaboration, coaching, the impact of professional development, and of course, the concepts of accommodations. Under the concept of inclusion, basically studies have shown that the greater number of students we move into that general education environment, or the closer we bring students to the general education environment, the greater their performance. This is a key component in really supporting the movement of students towards mainstreaming and or that inclusive environment within the general education classroom. In looking at collaboration, that whole idea of teachers working together as professionals is a key component. One of the major pieces of this is that link between the two teachers solving the concept of the gap in their own training. We have a specialist who's trained to support students, make accommodations, really help students learn and grow, and have great knowledge of the different disabilities that students may come to in a classroom, as opposed to our general education teachers who have that content knowledge and all of that vast information that really is there to support the students' understanding of a very large picture. So again, the collaboration between these two is only going to be positive in the fact that it will enhance the impact of both. As we look at coaching, coaching has been found to be a very positive means to support teachers in their growth. There are some challenges that need to be identified. One of the major challenges is the concept that change is hard and that we really want to build for innovation and really help teachers understand that. Teachers do have different attitudes towards that change, and sometimes we have to break that. And finally, one of the major concepts is that we're really looking to increase student achievement, and it is best done through making sure that we have a positive research-based system in place to support that achievement growth. If we look at the effectiveness of coaching as a means of professional development, there have been several studies that have shown that it has a great impact, largely due to the increase of the relationship or the professional and personal ties that are developed when teachers work together to learn and are really supported in their learning process by a single person who's there really to talk them through major concepts. And of course, we know that professional development is one of those major things that impact an increase of supporting teacher growth, and then of course in the end supporting student growth. As we look at coaching, again, it has been found that coaching, or the coaching model, is one of the key components of success in professional development. As we look at accommodations, one of the things that is really important to recognize is that accommodations are very, very important, especially as we look at student success in the inclusive environment. The students really need these supports. They are legislated and part of their IEP. More importantly, they need them for their success in the general education classroom. As we look at the next step in this study, of course, we have the methodology. We will look at the subjects, the setting, the independent and dependent variables, the methodology, of course the procedures. We will look at some variability and reliability concepts and the data analysis process. As we look at the topic or the subjects in this study, of course we have two teachers who are veteran special education teachers who have taught in the special education environment for many years. Their teaching has been solely in that self-contained model, and now they're being asked to move into a collaborative model that really will support students more effectively. Most importantly, or at least we think that's what's going to happen, but most importantly, it's a change for these teachers, and we're looking at how do we support these teachers as they grow and move into this new environment. The setting in this particular study was a middle school in the urban area in the southwestern United States. And of course, this was the movement of both the students and the special education teacher into a collaborative, inclusive environment in the general education setting for the first time. As we look at the independent and dependent variables, very simply stated, the independent variable is that coaching, that direct instruction in a one-on-one setting in which the specialist has the direct support of a coach as they learn about this new and innovative practice of collaboration and supporting teacher growth in that setting. The dependent variable we will discuss a little further, but most importantly it's looking at those structures that we put in place to support students as they grow in that general education environment, and more importantly, these are concepts that are listed in the student's IEP as needed by the student to be successful. The dependent variable, once again, does look directly at those accommodations in the general education setting and looking at how the teachers are trained to implement and or support and record their implementation of these accommodations and plan for the implementation of these accommodations. The study itself was focusing on the coaching with that dependent variable or result of increased use of accommodations in the general education setting. As we look at the methodology, there was a multiple baseline single subject design across subjects with a generalization probe at the end. The research itself was related to coaching and directly to the use of accommodations in the general education setting. In this process, there were 3 stages: the baseline stage, the intervention stage, and then a generalization stage. The procedure allowed the baseline stage to begin with data collection. Data collection was completed by looking at the teacher's lesson plans, looking for indications of accommodations. Once there was a clear trend noted, the teachers were actually separately moved to the intervention stage. This is where they received direct coaching from a coach on the use of accommodations in that setting. Following that coaching, and actually during that coaching, the teachers were given support as well as more data collected as to how they were noting in their lesson plans the use of accommodations following that training. Once a trend was discovered here, the teachers were individually moved to the generalization stage. In the generalization stage, data were collected in the general education classroom, and what was being looked at was the actual number of observed accommodations being implemented. When it comes to that variability and reliability, basically one of the key components was looking at the use of an inter-rater or inter-rater reliability by having a second rater review both the lesson plan data as well as do parallel observations. And we were looking for a minimum of an 85% equality between the results there. The data was analyzed through a process of frequency data collection and data analysis. The major component was looking at total number of or total occurrences of the use of accommodations. There were data collected looking at the individual types as well, although this component was not a major factor of the study. So again, we were looking and focusing in on the total number of accommodations being implemented in all 3 stages. As we look at some of the major research driving this, the first article listed here really focused in on the use of data to support teacher and to define the impact of the change practices. The goal was to develop and understand the impact of the coaching and the use of best practices. The second article listed here really focused in on the use of coaching and the implementation of a specific educational strategy. In this case, we were looking at behavior strategies. And the third article, which is listed here, again was looking at the coaching model and looking at improving the professionalism and the use of evidence-based practices. All 3 of these have links listed on these pages. I will also work to make sure that there are live links in the wiki so that these articles can be pulled up for your review. And finally, here's a link to the MASE reference pages that have been listed throughout this and are listed in the full MASE study that will be presented at the end of the course. I want to thank you for your support and look forward to your comments and reactions to the information that's been provided here. Thank you much and take care.